The following program is a production of Ho'ike Kaua'i Community Media. I'm a little nervous.
Are you?
Let's just get that out of the way instead, because I'm a little nervous too.
It's going to be great.
Yeah, you're right.
Like the rest of the weekend.
You're right. It is going to be great. Okay, let's make it great. Aloha Kaua'i, I'm Trisha Allen, joined in the studio by the first Grand Marshals of Kaua'i's Pride Parade this year, 2025.
Hello, I'm Madeline Hiraganuchio. Some people call me Maddie.
I'm Maureen Nuccio Hiraga. Some people call me Mo. And I'm a lesbian. And Madeline and I have been together, married since 1998 when we first moved to Kauai. And we are so humbled and thrilled and excited to be the co-marshals for the parade. It's really the first time this is happening, and to have a lesbian couple, it just feels so progressive and great, and we just can hardly wait till Saturday.
And it's kind of refreshing to see something new and exciting in this area, considering kind of how backwards things have been tracking as of late. Don't you agree?
Oh, yes. Recently, yes. I think everything that we can do to energize and lift up the diversity and equality of our nation and of our little island of Kauai is important to do, and we love being part of it.
And you know what? I think it's worth noting that not only have you been here and pioneered things in the LGBTQ plus community, you're now pioneering being the first Grand Marshal. So your work just doesn't ever stop, does it?
No, I guess not. And there's so much to do. There's so much left to do. I see, especially now on Facebook, that younger people who are trying to come out, and they're struggling and they're scared. And this is really such an important time to be proactive and involved.
Now, let's go back a little bit to when you first came to Kauai. That was 1998? Okay, so quite a bit ago.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, we actually have been married 3 times.
Oh.
Yeah. In 1998, we had a holy union in the Hollywood Hills overlooking Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
Our gay pastor married us at that time. And we came to Hawaii on a 3-week honeymoon, a week on Oahu, a week on Kauai, and a week on the Big Island. And while we were on Kauai, we started looking at property. And we ended up finding a property that we loved. And driving to the airport to go to Big Island, we're writing up an offer on it.
Wow.
Kauai. And we went back to California when our honeymoon was complete, and dragged out the escrow till June. And so we could tie up loose ends over there, and boom, here we were on Kauai.
And that was it, and you settled here then?
Yep.
Packed everything up and moved here. One of the agreements that we made early on was that we were going to try and get jobs before we moved here. Well, lo and behold, I was on the phone, and I did get a job, and I started working for Haleopio. But Maureen decided she had to set up our household first, so she would wait a little while to get a job.
That makes sense.
And I said, I'm a nurse, I can get a job anytime.
Yeah, and did that end up being true?
Well, it did, but what actually spurred me on to get a job was I really wanted a red Jeep. And Madeline said, if you want a Jeep, you have to have a job to get it. So I got a job right away, and I got my Jeep.
So sensible. Do you still have the red Jeep?
No, that was in 98.
Many years.
Yeah,
gone,
many years.
Yes.
But it was wonderful when we had it.
They're perfect to have.
Yeah, it was a hard top. We took the top off the first day and never put it back on.
Really?
Yeah.
Honestly, Jeeps run forever.
They do. They're wonderful. They're great to drive around Kauai, just anywhere.
Now, you're driving a different car. What else was different back then when you first came to Kauai?
Well, when we first moved over, I had this vision, I think we both did, that Hawaii was going to be very gay friendly. And in '98, there was a vote taken that restricted marriage to opposite sex couples and excluded same-sex couples from
In the state of Hawaii?
For Hawaii.
Oh.
And then the Hawaii Supreme Court the next year endorsed that because it had been approved at the vote the year before. And that was devastating to us. I just couldn't believe it. Neither one of us could believe it. We felt like, wow, betrayed. Does everyone here hate us because we're gay? And we had difficulty connecting with the women's gay community here. And maybe you should tell the story of how...
Just weren't very visible,
right?
I don't think. But the job that I got while I was still on the mainland and came to work here was with Haleopio, Kaua'i. And they're right down the street.
Yeah, they're
and
friends of ours.
I park the Jeep in the parking lot and I go upstairs to my office, and pretty soon the receptionist says, "There's someone at the front desk to talk to you." And it was a gentleman by the name of Roy Boudouin, very active, very out. He came up because he saw the sticker on the back of our Jeep.
Pride flag.
And
wow.
he said, "I want to find out who the lesbian is here." And so I came out and said, "Here I am, and how do we get to know the rest of the community?"
How interesting. So what did you find out from him?
He took us to the regular Friday bonfires that they had down at the beach.
The gay men just embraced us. They took us into their fold. And all these gay men events, like their Friday night bonfires, we were the only women there. And we were totally accepted and integrated with them.
Well, some other women came. That's eventually how we made the connections with everyone else.
Okay.
Then we also started a Monday night lesbian football night at a restaurant.
Fun.
Where they sold hot dogs, Chicago hot dogs.
Oh, those are my favorite kind of hot dogs. I'm from the Chicago area.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I appreciate that.
Not one woman showed up, but the gay men came. And of course, they like to see the football players. They think they're really cute in those tight pants. So,
so they would watch, and we would have to explain to them what was going on the field. They knew the players or liked the players, but football, not so much.
That's great.
Yeah.
So how long did it take before more women started becoming part of the group? And were they lesbians or were they just allies?
Both, I'd say. PFLAG, what year do you think we started?
Oh my gosh.
Parents and friends of lesbians and gays. And we would have regular weekly meetings. And younger gay people would come who were like starting to question who they were or didn't know where to go. And
or needed support. And that's where really we bumped into the most women.
Right.
I think.
Oh.
A lot of younger women who were actually, remember Melissa too, she's an older woman who had a gay son and was very active in the gay community, supporting all of the issues and things that came up.
So you two both founded PFLAG?
No.
Oh, okay.
We did participate as soon as I think it might have been Noelle Cambay.
And Renee
Hamilton.
Okay.
Renee was recently the executive director of the YWCA, and we know Noelle because she was working with us for the Department of Health and Department of Education, the Mokihana Project, which was a counseling program for kids in the schools. At any rate, we connected up, and they were very interested in supporting the rest of the community who felt that they were allies for kids and adults and just everyone who were facing the, gay, lesbian, what do I do? How do I come out? How do I represent?
I see. So do you think the things that you would talk about back then still resonate today, maybe even more so, given what's going on politically?
I would say so, because now, especially in the current political climate, young people are so afraid of being found out, of coming out and being rejected. I was rejected by my family. When I came out to them, I had to move out of home at 18 because my mother would not allow me to live there with my girlfriend. And I was in school, so I lived in one room over a bar for a while with my girlfriend. It was pretty weird. Gunshots on Saturday night.
I was going to say, it doesn't seem very safe.
No, it wasn't very safe, but I was free and I could be me. And that was most important to me at that time, to be who I really was. I closet no more.
Yeah, 18, you were out and that was it.
That was it.
No looking back.
Yeah.
How about you, Maddie?
I have a very different story. So I grew up in Orange County, California, and married a man that I knew. We had met at college, and we got close and we married, and I actually was married to him for 21 years or so.
Wow.
And didn't realize quite how sort of stilted our relationship was until I met Maureen later on, and began to realize I didn't actually recognize that I might have even lesbian tendencies until being involved with Maureen. And once I realized that, he and I talked, and we made some attempt to go to counseling and realized that we were just not meant to be in a relationship any longer. I moved in with Maureen, and we've been together for 95, so that's 30 years ago.
Oh, I see. So you moved out to Hawaii then only 3 years after you met?
Yeah.
Or married?
When we met, we both had the idea that we'd eventually like to live in Hawaii.
I see.
I was on halfway through a 5-year plan, but as you can tell, Maureen is a little more impetuous. We ended up cutting that short by a couple of years, and we were in Hawaii by 98.
And that's okay, because things worked out, right?
Things worked out. We're still on that original property that we picked out, and we love it.
Well, that's good to hear. So what advice do you have for, let's start with allies of the LGBTQ plus community that you could give, that we would share with them?
You know, in some ways, I think that for me, the awareness that allies are everywhere is so amazing. It's as if nowadays that those people who are comfortable with themselves and able to accept others don't bat an eye when they find out that you're gay, when they find out that you're transgender. There's so many more people who are aware of and willing to accept. So I don't know that I'm in the position of being able to give advice, but actually interested in hearing how people move through their allyship process and come to recognize that there isn't a wide gap between who they are and who we are. And I think it's probably very different from the way that I grew up.
I'm sure.
So my interest is in hearing more of their stories, actually. Maureen has probably lots of advice.
I do have lots of advice. I think the first thing I would say is if you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything at all.
I think that goes for pretty much everybody.
I was working at a job, and I'm a nurse, and I was working as a nurse practitioner then, and the clinic nurse said that I was too gay. And the physician I worked with was gay, and the executive director of the clinic was gay. But it was a big mess.
Were they out?
Yes, they were out.
Oh.
And I was out. So I never did realize or find out what too gay meant. Maybe my hair was a little too short, I don't know.
But they were both men and you were a woman?
Yes.
Okay.
And it ended up that they let me go because they said it wasn't a good fit. And I was on probation, so there wasn't much I could do about it.
That sounds like
one of the best jobs I ever had. So I think people's making comments can be really destructive. So we need allies in every community, and we need them to be supportive and empathetic and helpful to us.
In what ways can they be helpful?
By being verbal about accepting, people that are different. I think one of the great things about the festival that's coming this weekend is it's so inclusive. When you are sitting in the middle of that festival and looking around, you don't know who's who or who's what, and it's just inspiring. It's a wonderful thing. And I think there's our community, there's our support, there are our allies, and it feels wonderful.
So even just in casual conversation, just kind of calling out bias from other people, or that could do wonders.
And if someone gay starts to work at your workplace, be helpful, be welcoming, and that can make a big difference. Because sometimes gay people, especially the younger folks, they're shy and they're timid and they don't know how people are going to react to them, and it's important to them to know how people react. So by being nice to them and being helpful to them in the job setting, it really counts for a lot.
Since we're on the subject of advice, what insight or advice could you give people who are members of the LGBTQ plus community that haven't come out yet? Maybe they're scared to.
Definitely always be your authentic self. Always. Don't compromise that. And seek people out who will support you, because that's important. When you feel so alone, it's really difficult to come out. And I see people online all the time that are, I just told my parents and it was a disaster. And that was one of the things about PFLAG that I liked, is that people could come there and really get a lot of support from older, like us, the older lesbians, we can kind of share our story and offer support and hope, which is the most important thing, because suicide among that younger coming out community is too high, and that should not be at all, because they're valuable to us. We don't want to lose any of them. So
there are so many ways too to find support because of our connections online and that kind of thing. But the flip side of that, of course, is that there's also ways that you get attacked that aren't very visible. And sometimes that means that you feel like you're alone and you're facing something that no one else is facing. So the reaching out for support, reaching out to talk to someone who you feel connected to or you just feel comfortable with, I think that is the biggest piece of advice that I would give.
Even that small thing of having a gay pride sticker on the back of the Jeep got us in with the whole men's community here. And little things like that matter. Put a sticker on your bumper and see who comes around to see whose car that is. And anytime you can, reach out. And people will be there. People will definitely, because, we have different stories, but we've all been struggling with coming out and making these decisions, whether it's to get a divorce, whether it's to move out of your home, whatever. So be authentic and reach out.
Do you have any groups or organizations specifically that people who are maybe struggling could check out?
I just saw that hot coffee is going to have a monthly Sunday morning coffee thing for the gay community, for people to kind of get together yeah, so people could look into that coffee on Rice Street, and that would be great. And there's always, counseling, like people at the YWCA. Matthew Hauk works there, who's so active in putting this event together. So
he still, I think, has a monthly sort of a drop-in virtual session, especially for younger people.
To make those connections between other people in the community so that people don't feel alone, and they can sort of share their stories and know that, other people have been through similar situations.
Yes.
The other place that is very active and supportive is Malama Pono. They have a health clinic that supports health care for gays and lesbians, which is a different form of care than for straight people. It requires an understanding of the population and of the health issues that face folks. And they also do a lot of support around fighting AIDS and making sure that people engage in sexual relationships and
Healthy
emotional
sexual
relationships.
So there's some education too over there.
Yes,
Sounds
absolutely.
A lot, yes.
Great. Well, we have put all of those websites. If you scan this QR code right here, you can get that information if you need it. Just so you know.
Fantastic.
All right.
So do you have anything special planned for Saturday at all?
Yes. Well,
besides being Grand Marshals, of course.
New shirt, different shirt to wear. And
Better than these?
Yes. And we're going to be in the back of a convertible, and a friend of ours, lesbian, is going to be our chauffeur. And that's going to be a lot of fun. And then Saturday evening, there's... go ahead.
Aren't you speaking at the festival?
Oh, I will speak at the festival. And Saturday evening is after parade party at the Sheraton Coconut Beach Resort.
That's right. The babes are going to be there, aren't they?
Yes, the babes are going to be there. Oh boy, they always have great entertainment.
They really do. And we're going to be on site filming the parade and also the festivities afterwards. So that's going to be really great.
It will be really great. It's going to be a wonderful event.
It really will be. And we will see you there because we'll be filming it. Thank you for taking time to come and tell us about you and all of the amazing things that you've done. And we'd love to have you back.
Anytime.
Was wonderful. Yes.
Thank you so much for having us.
Of course. Yeah. Is there anything you wanted to say that you didn't get to say?
I don't think so.
Doesn't seem like it, huh?
Usually there would be because I have so much to say, but I think I got everything in. Did I get...
Ho'ike Kaua'i Community Media's president and CEO is Allegra Gaines. Administrative assistant, Leko Someda. Production and education services by Roger Olson. Production and IT services by Max Richardson. News and events producer, Trisha Allen. County producer and social media manager, Olivia Franco.